don't put too much stress on your first kiss. It'll happen, but like it gets better, more funnier, and like
Yeah. And it only gets magical if you're actually in love with the person, like later on after you've kissed them a lot. But usually the first kiss.
True. I prefer women, but I want a guy to force himself on me. I am open to trans women doing the same, but I don't see too many of them wanting. Oh, some of them do like work off the side because like some of them are actually sex workers. So like there's never a shortage for someone to take a nice 40-year-old hairy man aside and take him. just really take him.
Is one last kiss, but she won't let me have it. I want to get over her, but I can't. I need help. Hey, this is Morgan Rector. Join me and my co-host Rosanna Chilton for the Confession Post podcast. ConfessionPost.com is a website where users post highly personal content anonymously for the reading pleasure of other users. On this podcast, Rosanna and I read confessions from the site and give our analysis. You can listen to the Confession Post podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Rachel Telfor.
And I'm Michelle Gower.
We are the hosts of a new true crime podcast.
It is called Children of the Void.
The Void refers to children who are missing.
And children who have died under mysterious and suspicious circumstances.
Sometimes parents know nothing about what has happened to their child.
And sometimes they seem to know more than they let on.
Like Casey Anthony.
And the John Benet Ramsey case.
We are determined to do our part to find missing children.
And the truth when the story of their disappearance doesn't hold up.
Together, we will blast the shadows with light so that no more children disappear into the void.
Children of the Void debuts in September.
Join us so we can all make a difference.
Please subscribe.
Until then, I'm Rachel Telfor.
And I'm Michelle Gower.
You can catch Children of the Void on Apple, Spotify, YouTube,
and everywhere else you get your podcasts.
Hi guys, thanks for listening. Thank you as well to those of you who donate to the Patreon account. I've launched a campaign to raise funds to buy a new iMac. My current computer has been in use for over 8 years, and it is affecting my ability to create new content. As previously stated, my Patreon account can be found at www.patreon, that's patreon.com/leader1, LEADERONE. For those of you who would prefer to make a one-time single donation, there is also the option to send money to my PayPal account. The email address to send it to is Morgan Rector, my last name spelled RECTOR, 331, Morgan Rector 331 at hotmail.com. Remember, any amount is fine. If $1 one time is all you wish to donate, it would be gratefully accepted. Thank you for all your support, whatever forms it has taken. Enjoy the show. Alright everybody, thank you very much for tuning in to the True Crime News this week. I'm Morgan Rector.
I'm Rachel Telfor.
And the theme of this week is Florida stories. And Rachel happens to be a flow rider. So that And actually, my last regular humo case concerned Florida to a large degree. Griselda Blanco, what did you think of her?
Oof, that woman. She was definitely, I don't know if you've ever watched Queen of the South, the show, but any of our listeners who have, I'm fairly certain that show is based off of her.
It might be, because I don't know if there's ever been another woman who has been that successful in the area of cocaine trafficking and
Yeah, it's all about that. And not to correct you, because you're first of all, you're from Canada, so you're not as up to date on the pronunciations, and everyone's like, oh, who cares what, but because somebody in my life has the last name of the city of one of the countries, it's Medellin.
Medellin. Oh,
Medellin.
yeah.
Medellin.
Medellin. Oh, yeah.
Medellin. You can't. Instead of Medellin, it's Medellin.
Oh, yeah.
The Medellin drug cartel.
Oh, believe me, she's not the only person who is unhappy with the way I pronounced all
I wasn't unhappy, but I swear to God, every single time you said it out loud, I had to go Medellin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of subtleties to the way they pronounce words. Like, you could say burrito, but there's like, no, it's burrito.
Well, they have a rolling of the R's, and then the L's, two L's together are E, or a U.
Yeah. Well, then, why would I know? I mean,
you wouldn't. You're really far away from it. I'm not.
Admittedly, I mean, we have a very, very tiny Hispanic population here, whereas in the United States, I don't know if Spanish is a compulsory subject in high school, but I know that it's very common, right, to take Spanish in school.
Very common, and especially where I live in Southwest Florida, there is a very, very large Hispanic community. So, I mean, I'm talking, there are signs in certain parts of the city that are only in Spanish. That's how big the Spanish, yeah. So I grown up around it. I have been trying to learn it fluently. I understand definitely a lot more than I can speak, but I have gotten the enunciations. I try to learn via I work with a lot of Hispanic coworkers, and I love hearing them speak, so I can try to learn. One of these days I will be bilingual, I promise.
Well,
but yeah.
Clearly, Spanish has been a big part of the history of the United States. Look at all the places that have Spanish names: Los Angeles, San Diego, New Mexico. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and those are very close to the border, so there's a lot of.
I mean, even Texas has Spanish names, and yet everyone thinks of that as like the cowboy state. But there's a lot of Mexicans there. And...
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, that was a really crazy case. That was it was a lot. Her death toll, not just, I mean, from her own hand, but via her direction, was quite a pile up there.
Minimum of 200, but it was probably much larger than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so from there, let's go on to my first case.
First story.
Yeah, this one's a bit lengthy, so bear with me.
No worries.
Confused Aiden Fuji rocks and mutters about demons taking his soul in pre-murder trial hearing. So this guy has already been detained. Aiden Fuji made his first pre-trial appearance in a video hearing on Wednesday, looking dazed and confused. Wearing an orange jumpsuit, the 14-year-old was led into a room in Duval County Jail and engaged in some bizarre behavior after being handed a phone by a guard. Rocking back and forth, his eyes darted around the room at nothing before he started muttering, "Please don't let the demons take my soul. The demons are going to take my soul away." By the way, I think I did this, an earlier version of this story before. I think I did that a few weeks ago.
I was gonna say either you or I did, and this is an update. So I was actually just getting ready to Google it because this is an update to that story. So I'm gonna find out.
I think it might have been me. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. Good.
What's going on? He repeatedly asks. Why am I here? I just want to talk to my mom and dad. What's going on? What's going on? He did not interact with anybody on the line, according to News 4 Jax, which has been closely following the case. His lawyer waived the right to a speedy trial, which is common, moving the next hearing to October 28th. Forensic psychologist Dr. Justin D'Arienzo, who is not affiliated with the case, told the outlet it was hard to tell if he was faking or not. He definitely looked disoriented and confused. It's hard to tell if he's feigning mental illness or if something is really happening with him. From my perspective, it seemed genuine, given the pattern of behavior today and from what else we know. As yet, the judge has not ordered a mental health competency evaluation. If one is ordered, it could drag the case out for months more. Fuji's mother, Crystal Smith, who is accused of evidence tampering, also had her hearing moved to October 28th. She is currently out on bond. Police have released several new videos in the case against Aiden Fuji. One captured by a home surveillance camera shows two people walking together shortly after midnight on May 9th, the last time Tristan Bailey was seen alive.
Yes, I did this story.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay.
I sure did.
According to prosecutors, the suspect and the victim are headed towards the wooded area of their neighborhood where the 13-year-old's mutilated body would later be found. Less than 2 hours later, that same camera captured the person sprinting barefoot alone in the opposite direction. Separate security footage from Fuji's own home that same night show him returning to his front door barefoot, carrying his trainers in his hand. Yet another video from inside Fuji's home allegedly shows his mother, Crystal Smith. Why do I keep thinking Crystal Meth whenever I read her name?
Because it sounds similar.
Yeah. Attempting to wash blood out of his jeans just hours after Bailey was killed. According to an arrest report, both the jeans and the bathroom drain tested positive for blood. Smith has also been charged with one felony count of evidence tampering. Also among the cache of evidence released Tuesday was some of the infamous Snapchat videos Fuji posted while sat in the back of the police car, in which he addressed Bailey directly. Yeah, I think I remember that detail.
No, I don't know if we had them released yet. And do we also remember he stabbed her 114 times?
Yes, yeah, I was just getting that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Grisly new details have emerged in the horrific murder of 13-year-old cheerleader Tristan Bailey, who was found stabbed 114 times in Florida on Mother's Day. According to new documents released by the 7th Judicial State's Attorney's Office, when police put Aiden Fuji, the 14-year-old accused of killing Bailey, into an interrogation room and told him Bailey's body had been found and he was the last to have seen her, he responded, "How is that my problem?"
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my God. So, okay, keep going. This is interesting.
Investigators also found bloody clothes and sneakers in Fuji's bedroom, but also a notebook containing drawings of a violent nature, with one depicting a satanic element to them, to include a pentagram. Another illustration showed a naked female with red X's over her breasts and genitals, and blood spurting out from severed arms.
That's totally normal.
Oh, yeah.
No red flags whatsoever there.
The documents also claim friends of Fuji said he was vocal about wanting to murder someone. If he were to kill someone, it was going to be planned. He would find a random person walking at night, drag them into the woods, and stab them, a friend told detectives. Fuji's girlfriend also told police he would sneak up behind her and pretend to slit her throat with his knives, which he nicknamed Picker and Poker. Aiden knew something was wrong with him and wanted to reach out for help, a friend reportedly said to authorities. Excuse me. Where was I here? So prosecutors had decided to charge Aiden Fuji, the 14-year-old Florida teen accused of killing 13-year-old Tristan Bailey, as an adult.
Right.
His charge was also upped to first-degree murder on Thursday.
Yes.
During a press conference, State Attorney R.K. Larisa told reporters Fuji told his friends he intended to kill someone and indicated to witnesses that he was going to kill someone by taking them in the woods and stabbing them.
Premeditation.
Yep.
Right there.
Larisa added Fuji didn't say who that was and pointed out how that statement fit the facts of the case. It brings me no pleasure to be charging a 14-year-old as an adult with first-degree murder, but I can tell you also the executive team and I reviewed all the facts, all the circumstances, the applicable law, and it was not a difficult decision to make. that he should be charged as an adult. Grisly new details also emerged in the case as Larissa revealed Bailey was stabbed 114 times with 49 defensive stab wounds to the hands, arms, and head. The tip of the blade broke off and was located by the medical examiner in the scalp of our victim. To say that it was horrific could arguably be made as an understatement. Larissa said, bottom line, premeditation can be inferred certainly from just the sheer number of stab wounds that Tristan Bailey had to suffer. Fuji hasn't entered a plea, but the sheriff's office previously said he changed his story several times during interviews after his arrest and made several admissions at the time. A 14-year-old posted a selfie from the back of a squad car mocking the teen cheerleader he is suspected of killing, according to police. I hope to God this isn't the same story that we did, because it sounds very familiar.
No,
I'm going to see if anything looks new here.
this is an updated version of that story.
It's an updated version?
100%,
Okay.
yeah, I remember the story very, very well. This is new information because when I did this story, I was like, let's keep a track on this because he had it was like brand new when I did the story. So now he's had his first, now they're building evidence. This is new evidence and stuff like that. So I'm enthralled by this. This is fantastic.
Okay, so on Monday, Aiden Fuji was arrested and charged with a second-degree murder of 13-year-old Tristan Bailey, who was found stabbed to death in a remote wooded area of St. John's, Florida, the night before. After being taken into custody, the teenager allegedly posted a photo of his reflection in the police car to Snapchat, flashing a peace sign with the caption, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristan lately?"
Wow.
What a dick.
Why is it second degree now?
I don't know. And why
premeditated? Okay, I'm sorry. Continue. We'll discuss after.
Why is he allowed to have his phone on him?
Why the fuck is he allowed to have his fucking phone in the back of the car? Sorry.
That's strange. I mean, aren't you supposed to be in handcuffs?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, according to St. John's County Sheriff's Office, they received a missing persons call 10 a.m. Sunday morning. Bailey's family told detectives they had not seen her since midnight Saturday. Police immediately issued a missing persons report asking for public assistance in locating her, telling local residents she was last seen wearing a white cheerleading skirt and a dark-colored shirt. But by 6 p.m. Sunday, the worst was confirmed. A body was located in the woods by a volunteer and identified. According to the arrest report obtained by First Coast News, deputies discovered security footage that showed two teens walking together at around 1:45 a.m. Sunday morning. Later footage showed one person walking alone shortly before 3:30 a.m. holding a pair of shoes.
Right.
Report states that while being interviewed in the presence of his mother, she mentioned something about the video depicting him carrying his shoes, to which Fuji replied, "His feet hurt." After obtaining a warrant, investigators said that among the evidence they found was an outfit that matched the one the suspect was wearing in the video. Okay. They also said some of the items seized tested positive for the presence of blood. According to the sheriff's office, Fuji changed his story several times during interviews and made several quote-unquote admissions. Sheriff Rob Hardwick told WOKV the cop car selfie will likely be used against him in court. I know it looks egregious with him making those statements in that car, but that is now evidence that we gather and use against him. So that just makes our case a better case to present to the state attorney's office and to present to a jury down the road saying this was his mindset. This was what he's doing. Was he proud of what he did? So, this is going to help our case and make it stronger to, his intentions. On Tuesday, SJSO said a number of other people were trying to gain fame and followers by pretending to have knowledge of the crime and posting inflammatory things to social media. It's possible he could be both crazy and premeditated.
Okay, so yes, I agree. But I'm very, very fascinated. And I'm so glad you redid this, brought this up with the new information. So the news of the video surveillance inside of his home is new. I'm interested in that. Um, the selfie in the cop car is new. A 14-year-old boy stabbing a girl 114 times is
Psychotic.
psychotic.
Yeah.
This story is very disturbing, and I really want to follow this story through. I'm surprised, and it's so sad now because we do, like, again, we say this all the time, but we do this every week, and all these horrible stories. I don't see any news coverage of this. Back when, like, O.J. Simpson happened, or like the Casey Anthony,
Yeah.
the John Bonet, all that stuff was on the news all the time. We don't see it anymore because you know what? We're so desensitized
Yeah, maybe that's what
from
it is.
crime.
Or maybe Florida just has so many fucked up crime cases that most
I
of them
mean,
don't get much attention.
true, but I mean, this is something different. This is a
Well,
14-year-old child
yeah, it involves minors. You'd think it would get more attention. Yeah.
who is now and then interestingly, so when I first did the case, and what you said at the beginning is he was going to be charged with first degree because it's premeditated, and then at the later you said he was going to be charged with second degree. So I'm wondering if I want to know how that happened. How did the plea change from first to second degree?
It must have. Well, that's the thing. It was probably a plea bargain.
Probably a plea bargain, but they said he hadn't pled to anything yet.
Well, I think it's
So
easier. I think it's easier to convince a judge to go with a plea bargain if they know that going to trial could re-traumatize the families of the
of course,
victims.
and think about the victims. Think about the
Yeah,
victim's family. Like, if that were your daughter and that she were mutilated that horribly, I I can't fathom going through that, having to, go to court, face this tiny psychopath. I wouldn't want to see what happened to my beautiful, she is a gorgeous little girl. Um, it's just devastating all around, and
yeah,
really making me think about the case that we're getting ready to cover tomorrow, which I'm not going to tell anybody, but
yeah, yeah. Well, the offender in this case, I doubt that he feels any remorse about it. He certainly doesn't seem to, given the social media posts. So, I mean, to put the family through him just sitting there like a cocky bastard and talking
not worth
about it like
it.
it was nothing, I
Not
mean,
worth it.
like if you look like the shit that Ted Bundy did when he was representing himself and
Yeah.
being cocky in the courtroom and
Did you
cross-examining people.
did you say at the beginning that they were trying to get him with a like a mentally unstable, what do you call it?
Yeah, yeah. So they wanted to have him undergo an evaluation to find
Okay.
out if he does have like a psychotic disorder.
I think that's
Um,
probably best.
it's well, it's bittersweet because I mean the problem with that is, see, a lot of the people who are in hospitals or psych wards where they're criminally insane, some of them have been really good at faking it. Like, people say, oh yeah, what he did was crazy, but he may not be crazy. Evil's not a mental illness.
Right.
But
But
this
he's
guy,
14 though, so
yeah.
he has a chance
Well, this
if
kid's
getting
behavior, yeah,
right.
yeah,
But also it's Florida, and I really don't I mean, the mental health we have here is absolutely not par of where it should be. So that concerns me, that the case is being tried in Florida.
yeah. Well, one aspect of the mental health system that's flawed, and I would say that's likely true here as well, is that they're always trying to usher people out of it. Like I guess there's just a huge backlog. There's not enough resources, and so it's like the girl you were talking about, the Slender Man case, who
Hmm.
like got released like years before she was.
Oh,
So that's one thing that can happen. But a lot of people who are mentally ill criminals often end up going to prison. So I think he should just.
They don't have anything else to do with them. But again, going to prison is not mental rehabilitation. That's just
No.
it's compounding but it's compounding the problem. However, going into a mental health facility in this state at this time, also don't feel comfortable with. And I do believe that I mentioned on a podcast several weeks ago, I was trying to find some therapy for my own children, just, nothing crazy. And there was a 2-year wait
Sure,
at
yeah.
some of the offices to
Is
get
that
a child into therapy.
is
That's
that state-funded therapy or?
um it depends on the insurance you have.
Yeah. So it's
I
a
mean, if you're
copay or something?
well, yeah, I mean, if you're on Medicaid, you can only go to certain, which a lot of children who probably do need therapy are on Medicaid.
Yeah.
They have government health care. And these are the kids that probably need it the most. And those are the kids that can't get it because there's not enough resources. And it's very
Yeah.
sad.
And then this kind of thing happens.
And then you have this. And then you know what? You're draining the system more because now you have kids in
Yeah.
freaking prison. So it's an endless cycle. But
This,
thank you for doing that story, actually. I'm glad you did because I'm going to note to keep an eye on that.
well, I'm wondering if Aiden Fuji, and I did see a picture of him, he does seem a little loopy. Like he has this far away look in his eyes. And I've been thinking of the guy who committed that mass murder when The Dark Knight Rises came out, the one
Yeah.
who identified as the Joker. I don't know if he's that far gone, but I'm wondering if they do find out that he is certifiably insane, maybe he's on that level,
God, he's just, I don't know what to even think about this. I feel bad, and yet I don't know. I want to know more. I do want him to go through mental health.
Well, if the demon thing is legitimate, I mean, from his point of view, then maybe he is schizophrenic. So.
But where did it? Yeah, exactly. Where did it come from? Where is this coming from? And also, little Miss Tristan, her parents need to watch what she's wearing because some of this shit is too risque.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what, she went to the trial like dressed in? Like,
No, it's this cheerleading uniforms when the girls are like.
Okay.
No, I can't say that because I don't know. They like sexual. Shut up, Rachel. You're gonna get political, and everyone's gonna hate you. I'm gonna stop talking now.
Oh no, yeah, I thought you were gonna say like his mom went to the trial.
No.
Wearing like cut tops to.
No, it's just like the cheerleading uniforms are so like for the young girls are just. I don't have girls. So
they are cut very high, aren't they? Like
they're a little too much for me.
Like if they have to pick something up, they have to like squat to pick it up.
Yeah. And well, I have boys, thank God. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you have so much less to worry about with sons than with daughters.
So much less.
No date rape, no serial killer. Well,
you never know, but
yeah,
thank the universe. I was meant to be a boy mom. For sure.
They could get someone pregnant, but
they sure ain't.
Just hope they don't. Well, I mean, not before the age of 18. So
even that.
Yeah. All right. What's your first story?
My first story is actually a local story out of my county that came across my feed just this past week. It's short because it just happened recently, but I figured, hey, when in Rome, aka Florida, let's do a local story.
Yeah.
A 2-year-old dies in crash. Woman arrested for letting teen daughter drive.
Oh boy.
A second child has died after a crash that saw their unlicensed older sibling behind the wheel. Wink News first told us about this crash on Saturday night. Now, the mother of those children could face charges since she made her 14-year-old unlicensed daughter drive her van. The woman who was arrested was intoxicated when she asked her daughter to drive. Well, I mean, she was trying to make a responsible decision, I guess.
It's true, but Well, I
But
mean, I
that's
don't.
also illegal because she's unlicensed.
Well, I
So
mean, it still resulted in vehicular manslaughter.
it sure did. So you didn't make a really good decision. You should have just not drank and maybe kept your kids home. Anyway, her other children were also in the car at the time of the crash. The 8 and 10-year-old siblings were passengers. No one in the van was wearing a seatbelt when the crash happened.
Oh, there's another. Well, how about I give a real round of applause for that? Sarcastic applause. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
All
Fucking
sarcastic.
yes, dude. Bring it. I love you right now. Okay. Oh, God damn it, Morgan. You get me every time. Okay, so by the way, the road that this happened on is notorious in this town for bad crashes.
Really?
It's notorious.
So what's
There-
the layout like? Is it like too narrow? Or?
It's a very dark 2-lane road um in the middle of two of our towns, and just people speed down it, just freaking go balls to the wall. And there's so many if you Google it, I'm sure I probably could Google it right now. There's so many that happen, but locally, anybody who lives locally who listens to me, I don't know, will know. So the T-bone crash at State Road 82 and Sunshine Boulevard in Lehigh Acres killed a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. Flor del Carmen Ixcoy, 4, died on Saturday. Pilar del Carmen Ixcoy, 3, died Sunday at the hospital.
Well, the driver was old enough to know they should have been wearing seatbelts.
But everyone should be wearing their seatbelt no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing I say when I get in the car, put your seatbelts on. Get in, click in. That's it.
Your
Period.
kids know that. Yeah.
They get annoyed. They're like, Mom, we know. I'm like, well, I have to fucking say it every time. So
Yeah.
Florida Highway Patrol told Wink News on Sunday that their mother, Joyce Cara Zamago, was intoxicated, so she let her 14-year-old daughter act as their designated driver. Dr. David Thomas is a mental health counselor licensed in Florida. Quote, that is adult type responsibility, said Dr. Thomas. He is also a former police officer. He says that counseling will now be crucial for that teen driver. Quote, that's a heavy burden. The other thing is my fault. If I would have never made that turn, this would have never happened, and my siblings would still be here, she had said. So this is a huge guilt burden on this child, and which she is going to carry for quite some time.
Yeah, that's life sentence in and of itself.
Correct. On Monday in court via Zoom, Zamago's eldest son asked a judge for reduced bond. This was so she could help plan and attend the funerals of her two children, or I'm sorry, of his two younger sisters. This is her eldest son. For now, the judge has set bond for Zamago, 44, at $100,000 for aggravated child abuse and letting an unlicensed minor drive.
Mm-hmm. It's the mother's fault, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Quote, I will allow her to attend the funeral, and I want to make it clear that she has to have no contact with the children unless there is DCF supervision, the judge said Monday. Quote, I know that the community itself needs to step up and give them some help where they can and help them. Because this is going to be a very difficult time, even dealing with the loss of the children and dealing with the mental health aspect, there's a lot of work to be done here, end quote, Dr. Thomas said. Thomas does not believe the judge will be able to upgrade the charges to vehicular homicide or manslaughter since Zamago was not the one driving at the time of the crash.
Oh, boy. Why, what did it say in the girl who drove? She didn't even have a learner's permit?
Nope.
No. So,
nope.
yeah.
You can't get a learner's permit till you're 15. She was 14. So if you're 15, you can have you can drive, I think, during daylight hours, but you have to have a licensed, adult with your car. So yeah, she didn't even have that. So I mean, it's completely on mom. It's completely on mom.
Oh yeah, it's criminal negligence.
Yep, she's a minor, and
oh man, well
the mental toll that's going to take on her, I cannot begin to comprehend.
Well, I mean, it was a really stupid thing to do on the mother's part, but I'll be empathetic enough to say that she too will live with these horrific memories and the remorse
Absolutely.
the rest of her life. So she'll no doubt be prosecuted, but I think that's going to be a big part of the punishment in the long run.
Absolutely. I'm sure for the rest of her life. And that poor little girl just was trying to do the right thing and to try to probably get her family home safe. Her mom drive, I'm intoxicated, but fuck, that's just it. That's heartbreaking all around.
Yeah, I was thinking I'd like to get someone who's lost a child to drinking and driving on Children of the Void. I think
Absolutely.
That'd be a great episode.
Okay. I'm pumped about our new podcast.
You and Michelle are going to kick 37 different categories of ass.
I'm super pumped about it. I'll tell everyone we delayed our our debut a little bit. We wanted to make sure we were super prepared, but I'm pumped. I'm excited.
Yes.
I really am. So stay tuned.
It's like, imagine if instead of just taking off in a car, you took it into the shop, had it tuned, filled it up with gas, and that's what they've done. So they're done all they can to make it really great.
We really have. We've put a lot of work into it, and I hope everyone enjoys it. And thank you, Morgan, for everything. But yep, we're doing true crime news now, but be excited for that.
Hurry. All right, so going into my next story, this one is also a little sad, like the last one. This one will hit.
You're doing a little Rachel vibe here. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, this one maybe to get out the tissues or something.
Oh, shit, hang on, let me get a fucking tissue. God dang it, Morgan, son of a bitch.
Oh, I got in trouble today because I sent this little joke to Rachel on her feed where somebody's security camera had it.
Oh.
A frog went up at it and kind of waved into the camera, apparently. It was like saying hello.
No, you literally almost got defriended. We almost ended our relationship. I'm not joking.
Rachel hates frogs with a passion. Some people hate
sending a picture of a frog to me on my timeline is grounds for dismissal.
It's taboo, huh? Okay.
He thinks it's funny, but it's not. I almost hard-ended your ass.
Damn.
I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, don't ever fucking do that again.
All right. So the title of my next story is "Widow of Man Gunned Down, Shielding Son at Miami Cafe Describes His Final Moments."
Oh God bless.
Karina Olgwen has described her husband's last moments as he shielded their 1-year-old son from the gunman. "I remember Dustin saying, 'Please, I have a son. He's just a boy.' And that's when it all happened. Dustin was begging for his life. He was like, 'I have a son, please. He's only 1 year old.' I was like, 'Dustin, the baby,' I yelled. Dustin got up, got Eli, and took him to my grandma. He was right behind me," she said of the shooter. "I remember him leaving. It was fast." The devastated widow asked that her husband be remembered as a hero, as a courageous man, and as an amazing, loving father. Dustin's distraught mother, Laura, added, "In memory of my son, I ask, do something good like he would. He would smile at a stranger, give a hug to somebody. See the person in front of you. Really see them. Don't let this world desensitize you to what love is." The only family member not crying in the heartbreaking interview was Karina's oblivious son, whose face lit up as he recognized his dada in photos he held. Video of the alleged gunman's first random target has emerged, the one who escaped with his life. According to Miami Beach police, suspect Tamarius Blair Davis Jr., a UPS driver from Georgia, opened fire on another man before fatally turning the gun on the young father, Dustin Wakefield, as he sat dining outside a restaurant nearby. The chilling video obtained by the Miami Herald shows the suspect openly walking with gun in hand outside the Winter Haven Hotel. He looks at the weapon for a moment before pointing it at a long-haired male walking oblivious just feet in front of him and fires. The man flees, the bullet miraculously missing him. The next target, Wakefield, would not be so lucky. The victim's Uncle David told Daily Mail the suspect walked up to his nephew and said, "It's time to die." Jesus. The suspect pointed the gun at my nephew's son. Then Dustin replied back to him saying, He's just a baby. And then Dustin stood in front of his son, and then he was shot. You can't wrap your head around this type of evil. David, who did not witness the shooting but was told the horrifying story by Dustin's mother, said he was not surprised his nephew died protecting his son, describing him as an old soul with honor and pride. When asked what he would say to the killer, he replied, I would say to him, it's too bad you didn't have 5 minutes to sit down and talk to Dustin. You would have walked away after that conversation with a friend for life. You took away Dustin's life, but Dustin's spirit and light will shine bright for the rest of time. I hope Dustin's face and spirit never leaves your mind and soul. Regarding the suspect's alleged confession, he was, quote, high on mushrooms. The moment he took the drugs, it was a conscious decision on his part that changed his life and Dustin's life forever in his own hands. We have to be accountable for our decisions that we make in life. Meanwhile, AP spoke to the father of the suspect, Tommy Davis, who told them his son had traveled to Miami Beach with some friends. He said his son has never been in trouble or had mental health issues. No arrest record for the younger Davis has been found. This is an unlikely thing, the father said. We were trying to find out what happened. You can imagine we were shocked. He said he didn't know whether his son would ingest mushrooms or other drugs. You think you know your kid, but you don't. It is possible someone gave him something. That is something we need to find out. So yeah, the rest of this is just another rehash of that. So the judge...
Really sad.
Yeah, the judge said to Davis, Sir, you are being held with no bond. You shot and killed somebody in cold blood. A GoFundMe has been set up to help the devastated young family. A witness said to Local 10, he's a proud dad. When his son grows up and hears about this, he's going to forever love his dad, no matter if he's there or not.
Oh my God. Okay, you got me.
Got you in the feels, right?
Poor baby.
I know, eh? Have you ever done mushrooms?
Yeah, I have, and first of all, I'm gonna call fucking bullshit on that. There's no fucking way ever somebody is doing that on mushrooms. He was 100. I don't believe that. I don't know. Maybe I've never done very small, so everything's like just pretty and great and fantastical.
Yeah, laughing.
But that's not some. Oh God, I can't even.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I've heard about...
You don't try to walk up to one person, kill them, and then walk up to another person, a baby, and look at a fucking baby, and your initial reaction is to try to shoot them. I
mean, what I've heard about them is that the worst thing about the trip is the taste of the mushrooms. But
exactly.
That's
heart-wrenching.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, that does sound like bullshit.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that.
Yeah.
Absolute fucking bullshit. Especially he was there on spring break. He was down in Miami. He was with a bunch of his friends. Probably, son of a bitch. I hope he gets it.
If he took bath salts or crystal meth or PCP or crack, maybe
anything.
I could buy into that. But
anything. I hope I hope they throw the book at him. I hope he lives with that for the rest of his life. I hope he is mentally sane, and I hope he literally thinks about that for every waking second of his entire piece of shit life that he has left.
Well, he was mentally sane enough to hold down a job.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I'm happy. I'm actually happy that he's mentally sane, because then he has to deal with it.
Yeah, because if you have a screw loose, you can't do something like drive for UPS. I mean, you really need your faculties for that.
Nope. I'm glad he's mentally sane. Enjoy that in your head, buddy.
Fry in hell, yeah. And Florida's got the death penalty, the electric chair. So there you go. He's gonna fry.
No, I want him to live with it every single day, every single fucking day.
As Nancy Grace would say, he's gonna fry.
He's gonna fry.
Fry.
Made me cry. All right. I'm very emotional this week because women have to go through that emotional time. And by the way, I don't cry a lot. Just kidding. I cry like every day. What'd you say?
Well, not for any petty reason.
Well, no, it totally can be petty reasons. I mean, again, like commercials or just, anything. Pretty much
Well, I
anything.
mean, well, as long as I've known you, it's usually been tragedies, like, the cat.
Yes, yes, correct. Usually if I cry other than any tragedies are like a cry. My other
Yeah.
my other cries are like emotional things, like happy emotional things I see.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tear up, like, a cat being rescued and stuff like that. Like I tear up.
But if it was something like breaking a nail, you'd probably just be really frustrated, right?
Well, that's cringeworthy. All right, so my next story is out of Miami. Gosh, Miami. I really don't love Miami. Sorry, guys, but I don't.
Well, if Griselda loved it a lot, and that's
Yeah, I just
one of
Miami is. Ugh. What are you drinking, Morgan?
oh, that's just water this time.
Oh, look at you drinking water. Okay.
Yeah.
Good boy, good boy.
Well, usually I get those like flavor squirts, like that Kool-Aid mix, and put in there. 'Cause there's no sugar in it, and it's good.
Yeah, those are good. Those are good.
Rachel is not cursed with a sweet tooth like I have. So.
I was not. I'm a salty bitch. All right, so my next story. Miami mother who cops say drowned her baby and stabbed another child officially charged.
That's not sarcastic applause. That's for the officers in charge of you.
Love it. All right. The mother. Ooh, okay. The mother who cops say drowned her baby after declaring that impending COVID-19 death meant everyone needed to be baptized and stabbed her husband and a daughter as they failed to stop her officially was charged Saturday in Miami-Dade court. Very long sentence. Precious Bland's first encounter with the criminal justice system will involve 1 count of murder, 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder, and 2 counts of aggravated child abuse. Her first encounter with the criminal justice system. Very interesting. Bland, 38, received no bond on the murder count, keeping her with Miami-Dade Corrections until her case reaches resolution. Bland had been in Jackson Memorial Hospital until Thursday, recovering from wounds suffered August 23rd. This is a quote she had said at some point, "Jesus is coming and COVID is going to kill us all." Until that night, Bland lived with her husband, Evan Bland, and their 6 children in the home they owned in the 300 block of Northwest 99th Street. An arrest form says Miami-Dade police answered a call around 8:45 p.m. on August 23rd that multiple people had been stabbed. When we got there, the arrest form says Evan Bland had been stabbed in the head and neck, but was able to tell police his wife, quote, was upset, stating that Jesus Christ is coming and COVID is going to kill us all. Precious insisted everyone needed to be baptized and that she was going to baptize everyone in the bathtub, end quote. The report said that Precious Bland started with her 15-month-old daughter, Emmy. Emmy's mother held her under the water until the child didn't move, it said. Evan Bland said he and his wife began struggling, and his wife asked their teenage daughter to get a knife. The daughter told police that she, quote, didn't know why her mother wanted a knife, but she complied. With that knife, the report said Precious Bland stabbed her husband and got her teenage daughter in the forearm as the daughter tried to get Emmy Bland from her. Evan Bland and the 5 kids got out of the house. Miami-Dade police say that they found Emmy Bland, quote, face down, unresponsive, inside the bathtub filled with bloody water.
Oh, man.
So that's also a news story.
And this is a week after you did the story about the guy who murdered his family because he believed in the QAnon conspiracy.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, man.
There we go. Wow.
Well, doesn't the book of Revelation say something about plagues? I think it does, yeah.
Yes, it does.
So I guess next the locusts will come along. But don't
locusts do come along. They came in the Midwest. It was like locust season just a couple weeks ago. people couldn't even get out of their damn cars. It was all over like TikTok and YouTube and all that shit. Like there was locusts everywhere because it's like every certain couple of years they come out in swarms.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
the revelation is happening. Repent now, you guys.
You
Just
ever
kidding.
seen
I'll
those?
see you in hell.
Also, Japanese murder hornets. Have you ever seen those?
Mhm.
That is fucking insane.
Yeah,
Nature.
murder hornets.
That is nature flipping its lid. But just everybody, just keep in mind, Jesus does not want you to kill your kids for any
No.
reason.
Absolutely no reason at all.
No exceptions. I don't
This
care.
is a public service announcement from Morgan
Yeah.
and I. We're going to put this out here officially. Okay, Morgan, are you ready?
Do not.
PSA.
Yep.
Go.
Not kill your children for any reason. No exceptions. Even if you think you can prove your child is the Antichrist, you still don't get to kill them. So
Correct. You can call
Just-
an exorcist. You can get
Yeah.
medical. You can call betterhelp.com. You can go to a doctor. You can take him to a family relative. You don't have the authority or the okay from Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, or the universe, or God, or whoever, or Allah, or whoever the fuck you believe in, to kill your child. Okay? Or PSA. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay.
just give him a lot of impractical advice so he doesn't succeed in anything and can't build up a group of people to destroy the world. I don't know.
Correct.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to go about it.
I feel like we're on point tonight. We're doing very
Yeah.
well.
Just like somehow convince him that having bad credit is a good idea. Maybe that'd be a good thing to
No.
do. Yeah.
God, for the love of God, please teach credit in high school.
To everybody else, yeah, teach. Yeah, you know what you should teach your sons about it when they're like 16 or 17.
It's already 6 years. We're already talking about it.
Oh, really?
I already have them accounts started. Are you kidding me? We talk about it all the time.
That's smart. Are you saving for their college education?
Of course I am.
Awesome.
But they're going to get scholarships, so it's fine.
Oh, of course, yeah. All right. So here's some comic relief for you.
All right.
So Florida mom with one boxing glove glued on arrested for a cafeteria fight with a schoolgirl. So here we go. A Florida mother has been arrested after an alleged fight with one of her daughter's schoolmates. Edith Riddle, 34, was taken into custody last week, still wearing the single boxing glove she had glued onto herself. According to the police report, Riddle had been summoned to DuPont Middle School in Jacksonville to meet the vice principal about trouble between her 8th grade daughter and another student. Witnesses said the mom arrived to the meeting wearing a boxing glove on her left hand, telling the school that she had superglued it to her wrist and she couldn't get it off. Riddle was supposed to leave the school directly after the meeting, but at 12:14 p.m., a school safety officer reported hearing a teacher's frantic announcement over the school radio that there was a fight occurring outside the cafeteria. When the officer arrived, he told police the gloved Riddle was involved in a physical fight with a 12-year-old girl. Witnesses claimed Riddle's daughter pushed the victim to the ground and threw punches before her mother began laying in punches to the girl while she was lying on the ground. The victim suffered abrasions to her knees and forearms. The police report states she was taken to hospital for evaluation. When her parents arrived at the school, they insisted on pressing criminal charges. Riddle was arrested and charged with 1 count of child abuse with personal special weapon. The victim's mother, Crystal Wiltsey, told CBS 47 she holds the school as much to blame for letting the woman onto school grounds wearing boxing gloves. That's not normal, she said. But you know what? I got to play devil's advocate here for a second and say that you heard a kid was picking on one of your sons, like beating him up. Wouldn't you be tempted to go down there with a boxing glove and punch him out?
No. I'm older. I'm wiser. I'm better.
Oh, yeah, I know. But, I mean, isn't there a part of you that would...
Of course.
At least
the lioness in me would want to go and tear down that child and rip him apart with my teeth. But that's not how we operate here. You know, you have to go... I do good with work. I'm good. Despite what you all may think on this podcast, I actually do have good vocabulary and I can speak well and know how to diffuse a situation. I am in my job
Yeah.
a de-escalator for a living. I
Conflict resolution.
de-escalate, I conflict so I'm good at it.
Yeah.
However, if you're on the wrong side, I am definitely going to say things in not a yelling fashion to make you feel really fucking bad about what you have just done. And
Oh,
think about it.
by the
Because
way,
I don't want yelling and screaming is not going to do anything. You're not going to learn anything from that. I want this to be a learning moment. So you got to lay into people's feelings. You got to lay into that if they have them. You have to lay into that disappointment that this is what you've done to
you know,
harm somebody else. And that's what I
you
do to my kids, and it works.
you know, it'd be better if you say you met the kid who did the bullying and you got a sense of who they were, and then you go around the school like tell every other student like insult the guy. And,
No, that's bullying. You don't do
but
that.
but he bullied your son,
It
right?
doesn't
So
matter.
you don't believe in
Nope.
retaliation.
An eye for an eye is not the way to go. You always have to be the better person.
So if your kids get
Karma's a thing. If you put out positive energy, you're going to get it back. If you put out negative shit, you're going to get that back. You don't put out negative when somebody gives you negative. My son is going to be the one to say, all right, this happened and we're going to conflict resolute this. And I'm not, trust me, I am not one of the millennial pussy ass bitch kids. I'm not saying that he shouldn't defend himself because he should. And he has, my son. I'm not going to put that on the internet, but he has. And we had the conversation. I'm like, all right, buddy, this is what you need to do in the future. If last case scenario, if you need to defend yourself physically and there's no other way around it, definitely.
yeah,
But no, if somebody's a bully and they're just being nasty to be nasty, the lesson to learn to that, you don't know what their family life is. You don't know what they're going through at home. You don't know what that child's going through. So being negative and being reacting with violence and meanness is not going to make that child's life any better.
is your older son protective of the younger son?
Very.
So you never know. Maybe he might stand up for him.
Oh,
If
he
they,
already has.
yeah.
Not physically, but yeah, he definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
he definitely does.
by the way, speaking of the gift of gab, I got a criticism in a comment section because of you using big words.
What big
And
word did I use?
the guys, well, no, oh no, it was me. He was
Oh, you.
criticizing,
Okay.
and it's like at one point he seemed to imply like I don't understand what the words mean, but I usually look if I'm unsure, I will look it up to make sure I'm using it correctly. But at one point, I'm thinking, what the fuck is he telling me? That he thinks I'm stupid or something?
First of all, I've
You know?
never heard you use any words that were not in conjunction with what you were speaking about. So everyone, I'm telling you, Morgan, you
Yeah,
have to let the trolls go.
yeah. It's the dude.
Let it go.
Yeah, I know. It's
Don't let them get to you, buddy.
yeah. It's not like I'm writing these scripts in legalese or anything. You ever read legalese? I couldn't make heads or tails of it. But anyway.
No, I haven't.
All right. So my next story.
No, wait, you just did a story.
Oh, I did.
You.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Okay, yeah,
you
sorry.
did the boxing one.
Oh, the box. Oh, yeah. So what's your next story? Okay.
Okay, this one's a little bit longer, but we're gonna do it. So this is a newer story, and it's pretty popular because I saw it on several websites. So I hope you don't have it. And if you do, sorry, I got it first. Florida judge denies bond to Marine sharpshooter accused of killing 4, including baby in mother's arms.
Holy shit.
Did you have this one?
I don't think so. No.
Good. Okay.
Well, definitely not this week. So.
This is breaking news, everyone. Pretty big story. A judge in Florida on Monday ordered a suspected gunman held without bond a day after the Marine and self-described survivalist allegedly broke into a stranger's home in a methamphetamine-fueled rampage and murdered 4 people, including a 3-month-old baby boy in his mother's arms. Brian Riley, 33, of Brandon, Florida, is believed to have zero connection to his victims in the unincorporated area of Lakeland, where he then barricaded himself inside their home and fired at law enforcement. After he came outside and surrendered with his hands up, officers entered the home to also find an 11-year-old girl who had survived despite being shot at least 7 times. The girl, a student at Lake Gibson Middle School, remained hospitalized in critical but stable condition Monday morning at Tampa General Hospital, where she had undergone surgery, a detective told WTSP. During his first court appearance Monday, Riley asked for his own lawyer, which will be assigned he will be assigned a public defender until he retains such an attorney. He is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder, 7 counts of attempted murder of a law enforcement officer, 1 count of attempted first-degree murder with a weapon, 2 counts of armed burglary with assault and battery, and 1 count of second-degree arson. Riley, who was shot once, then placed in handcuffs and transported to the hospital, while repeatedly making statements to Lakeland police officers that he had been taking methamphetamine and was a, quote, survivalist, Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd said at the second of 2 press conferences Sunday. Quote, of course there are people across the state and nation who think that's a low-level, nonviolent drug. Well, they couldn't be more wrong, Judd said. Quote, I've got empirical evidence to the contrary. I wish they would quit saying that publicly, and I wish the politicians would quit paying attention to it, because taking him at his word and face value, this drug is anything but low level and nonviolent, end quote.
So,
Thank you, Sheriff Judd. The victims include 40-year-old Justice Gleason, a 33-year-old woman, and a 3-month-old infant boy. A 62-year-old woman who was believed to be the grandmother of the infant, was also found deceased in the apartment next door. Oh, you guys. Dog warning. Dog violence warning. The family's dog, DOG, which is one of my favorite names for a dog, because it's like DOG, get it, DOG, was also shot and killed.
See, that's where people will get really pissed off.
Yeah, pissed, guys. Riley was a Marine who served for 4 years before being honorably discharged and serving another 3 years in the reserves, Judd said Sunday. He was deployed to Iraq in 2008 and Afghanistan from 2009 to 2010, and he, during that period of time, was designated as a sharpshooter. Fox News reached out to the Marine Corps for information about Riley's second service. Quote, this guy, prior to this morning, was a war hero. He was a decorated military veteran, Judd said. Quote, this morning he's a cold, calculated murderer. Authorities said Riley also attempted to grab an officer's gun once at the hospital and then was sedated. He is currently employed by ESS Global Corporation in executive protection as a bodyguard and to provide security, Judd said. His girlfriend of 4 years told law enforcement Riley suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder and depression and had come home from working security at a church in Orlando a week earlier, saying he believed he could now speak to God. Riley initially came to the home in Lakeland around 7:30 p.m. Saturday and allegedly told one of the eventual victims, quote, God sent me here to speak with one of your daughters, Amber. He believed Amber was going to commit suicide, but the residents warned there was no one there by that name. Deputies responded within 6 minutes, but by then, Riley had already left the scene and authorities spent about 20 minutes canvassing the area, but did not find any sign of him. 9 hours later, a lieutenant in the area heard volleys of gunfire, and law enforcement who arrived to the home around 4:30 a.m. that morning saw a truck on fire and a man outside in camo who then ran back inside. Officers heard more gunshots, a woman screaming, and a baby whimpering, Judd said. Law enforcement attempted to make entry into the front of the home, but it was barricaded. Upon going around back, a lieutenant was met with a suspect wearing a bulletproof vest, knee pads, and headgear. Dozens, if not hundreds, of rounds of gunfire were exchanged before Riley surrendered with his hands up, something Judd categorized as the gunman showing his true cowardice. He also said Riley had placed glow sticks from the road leading up to the home to lure officers into an ambush. Quote, At this point in the investigation, we find zero connection between our shooter, our murderer, and our victims. Judd said Sunday, quote, it would have been nice if he would have come out with a gun. We could have shot him up a lot. This is a quote. We could have shot him up a lot, but we didn't because he was a coward. When someone chooses to give up, we take them into custody peacefully.
All right, you know what? When someone is in the armed forces and they have seen action, they've actually been in a war of some kind.
Yep.
If they survive and come back, a mandatory protocol should be that they have to undergo a very thorough psychiatric evaluation.
1,000%. And let me be the first to tell you, these military veterans get shit medical care.
Absolutely. Bad medical care.
Not take care of our veterans. They're
paid shitty money. They're given really bad, medical care, and very little psychiatric care, and it's ludicrous.
It is ludicrous, and this, PTSD, I don't have anything to say about this because the man going through being a sharpshooter and going through what he went through, that's serious shit. I've known enough people to know that PTSD is a very severe thing.
Do you know
anyone? You're not. I do.
Yeah, I mean, who's been in the military and has that connected to their experiences?
Very connected. Yes.
How are they doing? Like, are they having a hard time?
Still serving.
Yeah.
21 years in the Marine Corps. So, but okay, getting the proper, medical attention and okay, just when you're in that long though, I think you kind of lose a little bit of emotion, not because
you're not supposed
you want to, because you have to. Like, you really have to detach yourself at some point to be able to serve and be in those situations that long, and being deployed to those areas that we're over here sitting watching on TV thinking that it's, it's horrible. Fucking try being there, dude. It is literal hell on earth.
Absolutely. Well, I mean,
and then trying to come back without having any transition, no support, shitty medical, it's absolutely abhorrent. And
I mean, they don't do any screening in the first place when people sign up to enlist.
Well, especially not now, because no one wants to sign up, so they're just taking anyone.
They're desperate for personnel at this point.
But again, even the people that were, that were mentally stable and were okay and went and served, that is post-traumatic stress disorder. And we need to do better. We need to do better.
Well, I mean, it's like if you accidentally kill a child and you watch the child die in front of you, you're going to live with that. You take that home,
Yeah, and there's nothing much worse. So, I mean, this is a really, really sad story. It is absolutely tragic, but I don't have words.
The government has to do more.
I'm gonna leave that one be. Yep.
Okay, so my next story. This is another fairly humorous story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Florida dad who cut off wife's lover's penis with scissors, jailed for 20 years.
Scissors, eh? Okay.
Yeah, so talk about effective revenge. So Florida dad who cut off his wife's lover's penis with scissors has been jailed for 20 years. Alex Bonilla, I pronounced it right this time, 51, pleaded no contest to charges of kidnapping to inflict bodily harm, burglary while armed, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, and aggravated assault with a firearm for the attack on his 32-year-old next-door neighbor. According to Gilchrist County Sheriff's Office, on the morning of July 14th, 2019, the father of 5 walked 50 yards from his trailer to the neighbor's home and broke in armed with a gun. The neighbor was making breakfast for his 2 daughters at the time. Bonilla told him he would kill him if he resisted, and then forced him into a bedroom where he tied him up. So at least he didn't make the children watch. That's a good thing. He then pulled down his underwear. Tied a rubber band around the base of his genitals and, quote, forcefully cut off the victim's penis with a pair of scissors.
That's how they neuter like sheep and goats on the farm. They put a little rubber band around them until they turn blue and fall off.
Well, I hope there's anesthesia used.
No, 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 no.
Um,
Nope. My aunt does it.
That's bad. Okay. According to the police report, Bonilla then ran back across the street to his own home with a severed appendage, so he took his work home with him. Investigators never specified a motive for the assault. However, they said Bonilla had discovered the neighbor had sex with his wife about 2 months prior. When he was first approached by deputies, Bonilla claimed he'd caught the neighbor looking at his home and went to confront him and tell him to stay away from his wife. But he said the neighbor became angry and physically attacked him.
Well,
the defendant stated he then blacked out and doesn't remember anything from that point until he was at work and was arrested, according to some documents. And doctors were never able to reattach the man's penis, leaving him unable to have sex or even urinate normally. I guess he'll need an implant or catheter or something like that.
That's sad, but you know what? Actions have consequences, folks.
As well as his 20-year prison sentence, Bonilla was also ordered to pay the victim more than $251,000 in restitution. Isn't 20 years kind of extreme? That's a bit much, isn't it?
I mean, in a crime of passion and saying that he was blacked out, which he probably was,
Yeah.
and giving the circumstance when he went to, confront this guy and he reacted with anger and physical battery, reacted physically.
Mutilation, yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, if you're already pissed off and somebody's gonna come at you who fucked your wife and they're gonna come at you physically, I would, but I can imagine the adrenaline, the emotion, the fuck this shit. Like, yeah, I mean, completely. I think that's a little excessive. If he had I would want to see the prior history. If he had any prior history of violence or anything like that, that would have a lot to do if I were a judge in the sentencing.
Yeah, you see, if I were a judge, I wouldn't always go for the extreme of the sentences. I think
Gotta look at it all.
I think that maybe deserves like 4 years or something. I think
Well,
that's
again, it depends on criminal history.
yeah, and then maybe like a lot of probation, just make sure he's.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, 20 years. I mean,
It's a little.
that's like something you get for a murder charge. I don't think the guy intended to kill the man.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Jesus, there's people who are doing less for way more.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So.
All right, so what's your next story?
My next story, I think this is an older story, but we're gonna do it. Florida man, hashtag. Florida man strangled wife, then put her on train tracks to cover up his crime.
Oh boy.
Did a young mother really die on train tracks to die by suicide? A shocking answer came when her body was exhumed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sherry Morrow, a fun-loving and outgoing Army veteran, came to Crestview, Florida, with plans to build a life with her husband John and their young daughter. But in the early morning hours of December 5th, 1993, her plans came to a tragic end. Around 4 a.m., police responded to calls that a freight train had struck a woman who had been lying on the tracks. The victim was eventually identified as 24-year-old Sherry Morrow. This actually sounds familiar. I think I've heard of this story. Officials didn't immediately know if she had positioned herself on there or if foul play had been involved. They told, okay, so this is an Oxygen story apparently that they did. It was called Accident, Suicide, or Murder.
Okay.
The medical examiner's autopsy found that Sherry had skull and rib fractures. The medical examiner sent blood samples to the lab for a toxicology report. Detectives interviewed Sherry's husband to find out what happened before her unusual death. Officials learned that the couple hosted a party at their home that went late into the night. John told detectives that he and his wife were going through a rocky patch in their marriage, and that they had taken a long walk during the evening to discuss it. Excuse me. After their talk, he went home and she went to stay with a friend, John told the authorities. By all accounts, Sherry didn't drink alcohol, but 2 days after her death, the toxicology report showed her blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. The report led officials to consider that Sherry's death was an alcohol-fueled accident or suicide. Police dug deeper into the couple's relationship and learned that John, quote, had at least 2 girlfriends, end quote, investigators told producers. One of those women was at the party the night Sherry had died. By then, authorities discovered Sherry had already started divorce proceedings. The picture that emerged of John Moore was that of a young, irresponsible father who basically wanted to live his life the way he wanted to live it, said investigators. Then on December 10th, investigators learned that the medical examiner had made an error. Sherry's blood alcohol level was actually 0.00. Investigators wondered if other mistakes could have been made. The theory that Sherry had died by suicide by the locomotive didn't quite add up for the detectives, but with no new leads to follow, they closed the case and it was ruled a suicide. However, Lieutenant Wayne Grandstaff Sr., former patrol supervisor for the Crestview Police Department, believed it was too soon to discard the evidence. Quote, "The evidence custodian brought me back the evidence bag I had turned in," he said, adding that it contained clothing. Quote, "I stuck it in the trunk of my patrol car." In 1995, a surprise witness came forward with new information according to Accident, Suicide, or Murder, the documentary. The witness, who was at the Morrow house party, told authorities that he spoke with John after he'd come back from walking with Sherry. The witness stated that John's hand was injured and his knuckles were very red. When he asked his friend about it, he said, quote, "Well, when we were arguing, I got mad and I hit a stop sign." Bobby Elmore, state attorney, Okaloosa County, told producers. In light of the new statement, the case was reopened. Officials asked the Florida Department of Law Enforcement Crime Lab in Pensacola to take a look at the first medical examiner's report. Based on blood evidence and the presence of rigor mortis shown in the paramedic report, Jan Johnson, retired Florida Law Enforcement Crime Lab analyst, concluded that Sherry, quote, "was already dead when the train struck." Love forensics. Forensic findings and the bloodstain patterns from the clothing evidence preserved in the trunk of Grandstaff's car, go Grandstaff, along with new witness statements proved key in the renewed investigation. I apologize. Where am I? The engineer and conductor of another train passing through Crestview around midnight on December 5th, 1993, had seen 2 people, a tall man in a dark trench coat and a woman, walking along the tracks at midnight the night Sherry died, officials learned. When she was found, John's trench coat covered Sherry's body. A few months after reopening the case, a man who attended the party, Stephen Meek, told police that John told him he planned to take her to the railroad tracks and kill her, investigators told producers. In April 1997, Sherry's body was exhumed so that a second autopsy could be done. It revealed that Sherry's hyoid bone had been fractured, indicating that she'd been strangled. An injury to the back of her head that had not been documented in the original report was also found. Quote, "I believe the injury to the back of the scalp allowed her to go down but not die, which then required the strangulation," said Dr. Birkland, Okaloosa County Medical Examiner. In a follow-up police interview, Meek said that John confided to him that he'd punched his wife, beat her head against the train tracks, and strangled her before covering her with his trench coat. In hopes of capturing a confession from John, Meek agreed to wear a wire and record a conversation with his friend over lunch. But Meek immediately told John that it was a trap. Investigators raced to bring John in for questioning. He denied murdering his wife and said he learned of her death from law enforcement. Despite his repeated denials, John was charged with Sherry's murder 4 years after her death. As prosecutors prepared to present the case to a grand jury, Meek once again flipped the script on them. He claimed that what he had told officials earlier about John confiding in him about killing his wife was a lie. Fucking asshole. At this point, police... you're going to make that story up? Really? Anyway, at this point, police decided to arrest Meek as an accessory to murder after the fact, said Elmore. Ultimately, in a grand jury proceeding, Meek stated that John confessed that he'd killed his wife. At trial, defense attorney's main argument was that Meek, the prime witness, was a known liar. That was a hurdle for prosecutors who also had to address errors in the first autopsy. During deliberation, the jury couldn't come to a unanimous verdict for first-degree murder. The panel returned with a verdict of second-degree murder. In September 1999, the judge used his discretion, based on the circumstances of the case, to sentence outside the guidelines of 7 to 22 years, and he sentenced John Morrow to life in prison.
You know, they should teach high school.
Wait, we need a clap for that judge.
Oh, yeah, let me,
Yay, judge doing the right thing.
That's sincere applause, yeah.
Yay! He sentenced outside the guidelines. Oh my God, it happened.
They should teach high school kids not to kill their girlfriends. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, right. No kidding. Another lesson. But that was an interesting story, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know what? They always, if someone's in a relationship, they always investigate the surviving partner, and they won't let up until they find out who did it, and they have ways of eliminating you as a suspect. But
well, this was negligence from the criminal or the medical examiner, and probably somewhat to degree of the police.
Well, it's weird. I read this thing about, so a lot of those guys, they are qualified to conduct, the coroners, the pathologists, they're actual doctors, but actually in some places, like in small rural communities, it's not a doctor, it's just like some guy in law enforcement who they believe is qualified to determine these things, but they're not scientists, so there can definitely be a huge margin for error if that's how they're going.
So funny you say that, because in our first Children of the Void case, this specific instance of a medical examiner comes into play. So thank you, Morgan.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
Okay,
what's your last?
So for my last story, here's the headline. Medical director of Caring Hands Animal Hospital charged with, drum roll.
No.
Bestiality.
No. I'm deceased over the side effects. I love it. Thank you.
A Florida veterinarian has been arrested on charges of sexually abusing animals in his care. I don't know how that would have sounded. Maybe something like this. Hopefully there was no laughter involved. But
you have taken this show to another. I can't. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I can have fun with the news, right?
I love you. Y'all, if you don't like the fucking news, keep on going.
That's right.
And you have to open up comments back again for this one for sure. Dude, get over it. We're opening them. I can't. We have to have comments.
Our apprentice, Madden, 40, the medical director of Caring Hands Animal Hospital in Aventura, was booked on Tuesday on charges of possession of child pornography also. Madden is the first person to be charged under a new law signed in 2019 to combat the production of animal cruelty videos for sexual gratification.
He had double. He had a child and a bestiality there. Okay.
Yeah, this guy's just a fucking pervert. Just a wacko. According to a criminal complaint, federal investigators were tipped off by Dropbox that one.
Wait, was this Joe Exotic?
Oh no, this isn't Joe.
I'm kidding, guys. That was a joke. Ha ha ha. Funny. Okay.
Joe Erotic, I guess. What is Dropbox again? Sorry.
Dropbox. Oh, that's an app. It's kind of like
Is it like the cloud or?
Yes. So you use Dropbox. Only certain people can access it. So if you're trying to share file, we used it for ZombieCon actually. If you want to share files via the cloud, or
Yeah.
whatever it is, then you buy a subscription, you can upload the documents, you can everyone that you invite into that file can see it, edit it, save it, add to it, blah blah blah, blah. It's just a web-based
Oh, okay.
information sharing app.
All right, so federal investigators were tipped off by Dropbox that one of its users had received more than 1,600 files of suspected child pornography.
That's a
They
lot.
traced the images to Madden's home and the hospital he oversaw. Agents from U.S. Homeland Security Investigations raided his home on February 24th and seized his devices, on which they say they found private social media chats in which Madden discussed, quote, the sexual abuse of animals and children, unquote. In one conversation, Madden allegedly bragged about a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old boy from Orlando. In another, he is said to have shared graphic images and details of him having sex with a dog, writing, I was keeping a dog that needed a home. From digital evidence, investigators believe the videos were filmed at his home and the animal hospital.
The dog was not happy about that adoption.
Oh, no, I don't imagine so. HSI agent Leia Ortiz said, this leads me to believe that Madden may be abusing animals entrusted to his care. In a statement, the hospital said it fired Madden 2 weeks ago after learning about the investigation into, quote, these heinous and unthinkable crimes, unquote. Our legal team and every member of the Caring Hands family will be doing everything in our power to aid law enforcement and facilitate their investigation and prosecution. In his now deleted profile on the hospital website, Madden described himself as the, quote, proud pet parent, unquote, of a Shih Tzu dog named Lucky and two yeah, not so unlucky.
Sorry. Yeah.
And two Burmese pythons, Mocha and Sherbert.
I'm going
If
to hell.
convicted, he faces up to 37 years in prison. I don't know.
See, he gets more for that. The freaking guy who cut off the guy's or the
Yeah.
rage. What the fuck? Well, I mean, he deserves it for sure, but still,
I mean, yeah, like I don't know. It doesn't
their
say whether,
sentences aren't far off, and that's a very different level of crime.
well, most of that was probably for the child porn
Pornography,
and
yes.
pedophilia charges.
Agreed.
I don't know what the charges are like just for bestiality alone.
In Florida, God knows, probably minimal.
Yeah, I have no idea. Well, I mean,
Hey, I'm allowed to say that because I live in Florida and I am a Floridian, so deal with it.
well, bestiality is a much more dangerous affair in Florida with the gators and the poisonous snakes.
The
So
gators and the snakes and the lizards.
yeah, so the punishment there maybe is kind of that's
Probably not.
more instantaneous. I don't
Probably
know.
not. Probably not. We have
don't-
bigger things like meth and spice users, zombie people running around like murdering people and all kinds, and people who don't give a shit about COVID and pretend it doesn't exist. And let's not get political, everyone.
No. Well, it's not
Sorry.
a political issue technically.
Well, yeah, it is here. Anyway,
People can politicize it, but people can politicize anything.
correct.
So, what is your
Including
last?
our show. Haha.
Very true. Yes.
So my last story, I had a good night tonight. This is fun.
Yeah.
I'm in a good mood, finally. To bring us down, Florida teen gets 45 years in prison for murdering mom in argument over bad grades.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Good job, Florida. Fallujah County, Florida. A 17-year-old boy was formally sentenced on first-degree murder charges Friday, January 22nd in Fallujah County, receiving 45 years in prison for killing his mother in 2018 after an argument. Gregory Ramos last month entered I think this was this year that he was actually sentenced, I believe. He entered a plea for murder and two other charges in the death of his mother. Deputies said Ramos was 15 years old when he strangled Gail Clevenger to death after an argument over his bad grades. Ramos initially told detectives that he returned home from school and discovered that the house had been burglarized. He said his mother was missing and her van was running in the driveway. He then made a 911 call to report the alleged burglary. Clevenger's body was found buried under a fire pit at River City Church on High Banks Road in November 2018 after Ramos confessed to killing her, sheriff's officials said. According to investigators, Ramos said that it took, ready?
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes to strangle his mother at the family's home on Alicante Drive and DeBerry. Ramos was charged as an adult and could face up to life in prison, but after a deal with prosecutors, his sentence was reduced to 45 years. His sentence can be reviewed again in 25 years, but he will serve lifetime probation. The Miami Herald reports after it took Ramos about 30 minutes to strangle his mother with his bare hands, he then put her in a wheelbarrow, pushed it outside, and loaded it into the family van, records show. Two of Ramos's friends were also charged as adults with accessory after the fact to first-degree murder, the Herald reported. While we were not present during when Ramos killed start again. While they were not present when Ramos killed his mother, they were accused of helping his attempt to cover up the crime, according to records and investigators.
Yeah, I don't know what's with kids these days. When I was growing up, I don't remember hearing about so many goddamn kids and teenagers committing murder, killing their parents, killing their siblings, killing their friends.
Well, we've talked about this, and I don't know if it wasn't happening and we just didn't know about it because we didn't have the internet.
Well, I mean, kids in street gangs were doing it, but I mean, outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, well, I think people are just going. I mean, these times are crazy, and it's a lot. It's mentally taxing on anybody. I couldn't imagine being a adolescent during these times. It's so fucking difficult, which is why I preemptively have my children speaking to a therapist just to make sure. They're like, what's going on? I'm like, nothing really. I just want to make sure that they're good. Like, let's make sure there's not a problem before a problem happens.
Yeah,
because mental health is just as important as physical health, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So that I put my kids in, and the therapists were like, wow, like, I think they're so used to seeing people coming in that with children that have real issues. They looked at me and they're like, well, what's wrong with them? I'm like, nothing, dude. I just want to make sure they're adjusting well to life. And they're like, wow, we wish more people would do that. So maybe consider, kids are going through it. If you're going through it, they're going through it too. And just because they're young doesn't mean that their mind doesn't. They're at the most growing part of their lives.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah,
creating those synapses, those brain, changes, and the more help, the better, right?
Well, I mean, if you're going to go for a physical once a year with your GP, why not go
for your brain
mental health check?
Absolutely. I 100% encourage that.
All right. And before we go, I just want to address two issues. So we were talking about Children of the Void earlier.
Yes.
I'm on the lookout for cases about missing children who have not been found. If anybody is aware of a case like that, and people have developed like some kind of campaign, maybe they create a website or Facebook page, and there's like contact numbers or email addresses, please send us that information. If anyone wants to help raise awareness for these campaigns,
yes, please.
We would love to do that. So send that information to rectormedia@gmail.com, RECTOR media. And we would love to interview people who are in that position on the show, and also for cases where perhaps the perpetrator has been brought to justice, but maybe they were acquitted or didn't serve a very long sentence, and there's a lot of questions. Things look fishy, or maybe somebody may have even been wrongfully convicted, and perhaps the perpetrator has not been charged.
Yeah, you're just not satisfied.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Casey Anthony case, or the John Benet Ramsey type deal. So if anybody would like to appear on the show and raise awareness of a case like one of these, please do. And then the other, and I know I was talking about people's shitty little comments earlier, but I'm just going to say one more thing. Somebody approached me on Instagram, said something really, really nasty about Rachel. I'm not going to repeat it, nor am I going to mention the person's name. Not that they deserve the attention, but I just want to say I reject toxic people. I don't want them in my life. If you're the kind of person who feels the only way to elevate yourself in the world is to put other people down, stay away from me. I don't.
We just don't need it.
If you come at me with hate because you want me to change something, or for any other reason, see that I have a reflex inside of me. It's kind of factory installed where if you're going to be rude about it, then I'm going to dig my heels in and double down and maybe even do it more.
Right.
So I'm not going to change anything for you, or change my opinion, or take a new approach to anything if you think that you're going to accomplish that by being rude to me or saying things to me about people that I care about.
Yeah, it's disrespectful, but Morgan,
keep your hate to yourself.
Thank you. And Morgan knows we've talked about this. Like, the negative comments honestly roll off my back like water on a duck. And he's like, well, how do you not let that get to you?
Well,
I'm like,
I'm still working on that for myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm helping you through that. And I hope I am, because, it's a lesson learned. It's years of dealing with certain things and being through really, really horrible situations in the past. And you relate that to somebody leaving a negative comment. I'm like, do I know this person? Does this really bother me? Is this something that I'm going to get? Fuck that. I laugh at them. It's funny to me. It's like, if you have nothing better to do than write negative comments about somebody you know absolutely nothing about except for their voice on a podcast, dude, go grow a fucking life. Like, it's not worth my time. I'm thriving. I'm doing well. I enjoy what we're doing. I enjoy you. I enjoy my kids. Yep, I talk about them all the time because I'm a goddamn badass mom. Deal with it. If you don't like it, don't listen. That's just where I am. We come here, we have fun, we talk about true crime news. That's what we do.
If you hate the true crime news, be your own censor.
Don't listen to it.
Yeah.
But also, on a positive note, what Morgan said, if you guys have stories, Michelle and I've learned in the past 2 weeks, are really amazing two peas in a pod. We are very passionate about this podcast. It's going to be different than this podcast. It's going to be a little more serious. We're going to have our banter, but we are taking this very seriously. When I tell you the amount of time that I put into this one case that we're going to do, which I don't want to spoil, but I want to know those personal cases. I want to know those hometown cases that haven't been solved, that you care about, that you don't feel justice was served. Please email Morgan. I'm going to set up a YouTube page and Instagram for our podcast this week, hopefully before we air, so I can list it. If not, it'll be in the next episode, but I hope y'all tune in and enjoy.
Well, and also, I just want to leave off on a positive note.
Yes.
I do feel gratitude for the 95% positive comments I've received. I noticed them, and I'm truly grateful. You guys rock. You say some really nice things. Yeah, and
it lifts us up for sure. Like, those 95% of you guys are freaking badass.
And also the donations. Next month, I will finally be able to buy the computer.
Cheers! Clap app.
Oh wait, yeah, I got.
Yeah. He's getting a new computer.
Yeah, so that's a very positive thing that's happening as well. So yes, let me give you a round of applause to the people who have been donating there.
To everyone.
Yay!
You're appreciated.
That wasn't sarcastic applause.
No, not at all.
No. Well, thank you, my dear, for.
Thank you. This has been a great sesh. I'm happy about this one.
Me too.
Open the fucking comments up. Let's go.
Okay.
All right. You don't have to look at them. I'll filter them for you.
Oh, yeah, all right. Oh, they'll love that, I'm sure.
Hey, I always have positivity.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
put
Yeah.
out I put out positive. I've never said anything negative. Come bring it at me, y'all. It rolls off my back.
Yep. All right.
So to Florida. Deuces. This
Good night, everyone.
Good night, y'all.
Good night, Rachel.
Good night, Morgan.
Bye-bye.